I'm just adjusting something on my screen. That's better. Right, what shall we talk about this evening? Anything on anyone's mind that you'd like, a question that you'd like answered? Um, Aspect of meditation, aspect of the Buddha's teaching. Lucy, straight in there.
Um, I was wondering about the kind of comparing the importance of being, I'm not quite sure what the right word is, but being accurate or precise about what you're noting versus noting, or yeah, seeing its kind of transient nature or non-self nature. So if you just go, oh, that's thinking, and then stop there and don't think, well, is it, I don't know, memory or is it planning or something? Um, in favor of actually just watching the kind of thinking disappear. Is there any, is one way of, yeah, is one thing to focus on more important than the other?
There is a natural progression to the clear comprehension that's developed through noting. And I think that the question is a very good question and deserves to be answered, but it also deserves pointing out that again we the question suggests that we should be doing better, or we should have greater clarity, or there should be um, it can't just be what I'm noting and the way I'm noting it. It has to be better. It has to be different. And that's what I'm trying to encourage people out of. That's what I'm trying to help guide people out of, the assumption that we're supposed to be honing it. Because when we're honing it, we're not actually noting. We're thinking about the teaching. We're thinking about meditation. So the answer is you note it as it seems to be in your experience at that time. And if you're doing study on the one hand, so like reading the books, reading the Orkana books, reading the Pali Canon, listening to YouTube channel that we have we obviously we put these recordings on, but we have a whole series of videos dedicated to condition dependent origination, to all kinds of things. So if there is the willingness to do the study on the one hand, but then when you go into actual mindfulness practice, whether that's seated practice or walking the dog practice or doing the washing up practice, whatever the practice is, and you're developing this capacity for noting, then you note as seems fit in that moment. It's not comparable to anything else. It's just as you see it in that moment. And that's obviously an aspect of faith. You don't have all the answers. Surely it should be more complex than this. But you put your faith and trust in the mindful noting itself. And there is a progression where it might very well be that somebody is just noting as thinking, and that represents memory, hindrance, all kinds of different things. But that's how they understand it at that moment. And so, because it is your own exploration, it's not conforming to a pattern, it's your own exploration of experience. This is just guiding you in how to use the tool of mindfulness and noting in order to generate clear comprehension and insight. So initially, it starts as the very big chunks thinking. That's a big chunky sort of perception of what's going on. As somebody does on the one hand the study, and on the other hand the direct inquiry, it becomes more nuanced. They start to realize there's different kinds of thinking. You start to realize that there's thinking about the past, there's thinking about the future, there's thinking about the present, then you start to recognize that there are some kinds of thought processes which are really quite painful to do. And there are other kinds of thinking that the mind seems to just love, and the whole body mind seems to just get energized by thinking about them. And so we start to prefer one kind of thinking above another. We start to recognize, therefore, that there are hindrances and there are skillful thoughts. And so gradually, your ability to delineate your experience matures, and the range of objects you're able to note and perceive widens. And as you're noting things, the certain facets of experience, of the nature of experience that were hitherto ignored, start to become obvious. Like, whatever I look at disappears. It's transient. You didn't have to try. You weren't trying to force the pace. There's just a natural development that occurs for everyone if they just relax into following the basic instruction. Yeah. Does that help, Lucy?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
I hope that's clear for everyone, because if it's not, please put your hand up and I'll expand on it some more. But we don't have to, it's about being relaxed in the moment, unconcerned, but awake, aware, and interested, and allowing this process of exploration to unfold. And so it leads to discovery. It's not coercing the mind. You're not trying to look for anything. You're just looking at what presents itself. And the way that you do that, the level of discrimination of states that you're able to apply is an entirely personal matter. But it's having the faith that as I continue to note over time, days, weeks, months, years, I gradually start seeing more and more about the way life actually is, as opposed to the way I had assumed it was. And that's revelatory, that's revolutionary, that changes the way that you experience life completely. It turns it on its head, but it's a very natural process. Okay, we've got some more hands up. Annie, nice to see you. How are you today?
Paul, hi. Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
I'll try not to make this too long-winded. I think this is a question I've got, which is probably asked a lot. I mean, if one is so beset with delusion, which I appear to be, how can you trust there's a part of your brain which is reliably aware? I mean, I just feel, I have a huge problem with trust, but how can you know that this awareness you're talking about that is present and reliable? There is a part of oneself which can be relied upon to see things the way they are, and
Annie, you're right.
It really worries me, this.
No, you're right. I can't prove it.
No, okay, fine. No, just as I say, I've written a lot here, and I find it so hard to be concise.
But I don't have to prove it.
You don't.
No, it's down to an individual,
yeah,
deciding that they like the idea.
I love the idea.
The idea of exploring one's own conscious experience in order to come to see things not seen before is attractive, and they go for it. Now, if somebody hears, and it's nothing to do with me per se, but in my role as a guide, if somebody listens to a guide and says, I really don't trust this, don't do it.
I mean, it's not, I don't have an issue with you. It is just.
No, I know you absolutely don't. But what I'm saying is like, my guidance isn't going to change.
Sure. No, I mean, well, you've obviously realised the helpfulness of it.
Absolutely.
And I got to that point. Although I thought I had back in 2002, I seem to have gone backwards, sadly. I don't know how that's possible. I really did think I was getting somewhere in 2002. But anyway, yeah, I feel really bombarded, that's not too strong a word, often by unpleasant feelings and mental states. And this thing of being able to note correctly, I can't find the vocabulary. It's all such a mess and so confused so often, and awful, first thing in the morning, horrible dreams and that sort of thing. I think, well, noting what is the truth here? What is happening here?
I refer the Honourable Lady to my previous answer.
Right. Which is you
note it to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Because I can.
It's your exploration. You're not trying to conform to a preordained pattern, a pattern from on high. You should be looking at life like this. No, it's a free inquiry. We're just giving people the tools. The Buddhist teaching is giving people the tools to undertake that exploration if they wish.
No, I tremendously wish. What I can see a lot of the time is a hell of a lot of irritation and ill will. A lot of
good noting.
A lot of resentment.
Good noting. It's just you believe that they shouldn't be there.
I don't know if I can they can go ever. Yeah.
No, it's irrelevant whether they go or not. It is an exploration of the reality of conscious experience as you perceive it, as you experience it, but learning to surrender to what it is that we experience.
That's the problem, I think. Yes, I think I do trust that that's correct. Yes, the irritation, yes, the anger. What I really can't bear is to see myself as such a, the person I am. It's just so painful.
That is exactly what the Buddha described in his Four Noble Truths.
Yeah. So when you say rest content, Paul, I
don't say rest content anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I say rest in the moment, content to observe whatever arises.
Thanks very much. Okay, I won't take up any more time. I just need to keep going at it, but despair is a terrible thing, isn't it? And I think one wants to move on from that. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yes, this is a follow-on point. I remember in a Dhamma talk, Alan talking about despair and saying, well, you just reach a point of despair, and I chimed in, I tried despair, and that didn't work either. So if you want to resolve the problem of suffering, yes, you get to the point of despair, and you realize that, hang on a minute, despairing isn't actually getting me anywhere. No, sorry, Annie, I was just talking in general to everyone, but it's like we will try everything except the thing that works, until the thing that works is the absolute final definitive way forward. So we truly won't enter into proper mindful exploration of conscious experience until we have satisfied ourselves that nothing else will work, including despair. Now, I can't remember who was next. I think it was Mandy.
Well, yeah, interesting topic. And I was thinking when you said did you say there's no mindful noting? Did you introduce it?
I didn't say there's no mindful noting. I said mindfulness is a natural occurring mental quality which is being employed right now. We are just employing it for a particular purpose, which is to generate insight into the true nature of reality. So we don't have to generate mindfulness because mindfulness is naturally occurring. We wouldn't be able to have this conversation if you didn't have mindfulness, right? So all we need to do now is just use that for our special purpose. And so therefore we practice noting, which develops the clear comprehension of the way things actually are. Does that clarify?
Yes, a little bit. Yes, it does. And still, I have a question. If you see the noting then as equal as the open awareness, the non-judgmental open awareness, is that for you then the same definition, kind of?
Okay, open non-judgmental awareness is mindfulness. Okay.
Sorry. Can you repeat?
Open, non-judgmental awareness is mindfulness, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're using that for special purposes. We're employing it for a particular purpose, to gain insight into the true nature of reality. And we do that by noting what comes up in our experience, if it's shape, color, sound, thought, feeling, perception, memory. We're learning. So mindfulness is all, you don't have to first create this thing called mindfulness. We have it. We're employing it now. It's just there.
I'm a bit confused.
So we just have to note. We don't have to first accomplish mindfulness. Mindfulness is not something that needs to be accomplished.
No.
We just note.
No, but I always understood it as there's a quality, a certain quality which you can note with. The quality
Yeah, but you
is
already have that. You don't have to think about that. You already have it. You don't have to first get that quality. You have it.
no, but do we not then trying to develop?
How could Annie possibly know that Chiron's irritation if she didn't have mindfulness? How could Lucy wonder about what the best way to note something if she wasn't already mindful that there are things to be noted? This is the confusion. It is a confusion, which is why I'm trying to clarify it. There is nothing that you need to do first before noting.
Mm-hmm.
You just note.
Is it then the quality which you note with
No, you don't have to worry about the quality with which you note with.
Okay.
Where did that come from? we just rest in the moment. So there is just spontaneous being. I'm not trying to create anything. Conscious experience is happening. There are shapes, there are colors, there are sounds, there are thoughts, there are feelings, there are sensations. There just are. You don't have to first accomplish something so that you can note. You just note.
So you're saying actually that is so the quality is already in the noting. The quality for me means the non-judgmental open awareness is the same as noting what's already there in everybody.
You're using open non-judgmental awareness when you're driving a car, when you're washing up.
Yeah, so that is the mindfulness, that is the noting.
All we have to, it's I don't see what the bone of contention is. It's just, we just note. Now, if in noting you come across something which you cannot accept exists in that moment, we call that resistance. We call that craving. We note the resistance. We note the craving. Does that clarify it?
I'll have to think about it.
Because I think what you're saying is you have to be in a state free of craving for things to be different in order to be able to note.
No, I guess maybe I'm more confused about the definitions. It's a definition thing.
Why would we worry about definitions?
Well, that's a good question.
Why wouldn't we just note? Why do we have to do something first?
No, maybe because I'm confusing noting in you can note things, but then
can I just
note things without attention. You can note something, but you're not. There's also this negative content, but I guess that's not noting. Then I guess that's already.
Can we just make an experiment quickly?
Yes, let's do that.
What are you aware of right now? You've got 6 sensory fields, 5 physical, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and you have the 6th sensory field, which is mind. What are you aware of? Right, straight off the top of your head.
Confusion.
Okay, brilliant. It's a state of mind, confusion. You could not have accomplished that if you weren't mindful. There has to be mindfulness present in order to know that there's shape and color, sound, thought, feeling, sensation. We don't have to do something first before we note. We don't have to accomplish something. We don't have to magically produce an altered state of mind, which is open and spiritual, and we don't need to do any of that. We just need to note.
I see what you mean. So if maybe that's my confusion. So I was thinking, okay, you could then think, oh, there's confusion, there's annoying confusion.
Then you perfect. You experience that fully. You have noted it, now experience it fully. What is its nature? You're not answering that question. You're just remaining with the experience. Annoying confusion, frustration. And then you hear a bird tweeting. And now there's no frustration. If, as we develop, we realize in that moment, there's no frustration. There's just the sound of birds singing. And then something else occurs, and then something else occurs. And we're just going with what is. We're not looking for anything. We're just looking at. And I think I understand. Sorry.
No, please speak.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. So.
So the non-judgmentalness is part of the noting. When you note, it is non-judgmental.
No, because it might be very judgmental.
But then you would note the judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah.
Exactly. So before we, it's so difficult to, no, it's not difficult to put it across. I put it across pretty well, I thought. But it's like, we don't have to first create this special state of non-judgmentalism. We go with what is. And so if that's annoying frustration, then that's what we're with.
I see.
Yeah. And then we note the tendency to judge that as, oh, that's not supposed to be there, perhaps. And we note, not immediately. And this is why, I'm not saying it should all be like, pristine and amazing and deep, and it's going to be messy. You've got the breathing process as a reference point to come back to, but we don't want to just get locked into just watching the rise and fall of the abdomen, because there's this richness of experience that we're blocking out. And so, it can get tricky. There will be craving. There will be things that we're resistant to. And that's where we're learning. We're learning all about how resisting makes things even worse. We have to see it. We can't not see it. And so it's this state of non-judgmental awareness is natural. You're employing it right now. And then we superimpose that with our judgments about what's going on. And so it's our ability to recognize those judgments and include them in the practice.
Thank you.
Okay. Great question. Thank you, Mandy. Ellen, you've been very patient.
No worries. Hello, good evening. Hello, everybody. Okay, I've kept my hand up. I'm going to take the risk. You might have to repeat yourself, and I'm sure you'll have said to me this same answer many other times. Okay. In my personal exploration, I've been doing much better about taking the counsel of going more slowly, noting, floating with it. That's all been really helpful. Mm-hmm. I, in my decades of practice, have, of course, this is an intellectual question. In my decades of practice, I have never really taken, I've never been able to clearly get a feeling or a sense of which hindrance is generating a particular, I'm talking about thinking, because I'm a big thinker. And I know intellectually that a given thought, say I'm thinking about something related to some work, and noodling about having it be different, and it could be that the energy behind that is ill will because I don't like the situation and I want it to change. It could be worry and flurry because it's sort of a problem-solving mode. It could be craving, that I'm craving to have the situation be different, or it could be craving because it's fun to noodle. And my nature, I'm more of a craver. So I'm wondering if that in any way, shape, or form is important, whether it sort of is one of these aspects that comes to light eventually, or whether I should just ignore the whole topic. I've been trying to play with this.
No.
Okay.
No, you don't have to find prior causes for things.
Okay. All right.
If
Thank you.
so, I think, called it noodling.
Yeah,
Right?
I did use that word. Yeah.
Then note it as noodling.
Okay.
I mean,
I've been good at that.
I don't think you'll find that word in the Pali Canon. However, it doesn't matter because that's how you perceive it. It is that quality. We're not interested in the content. Whether the content is going, I should be able to do this more better than that, and I'm going to think about this and enjoy thinking about this. The content doesn't matter. It's we just want the quality of what's unfolding. Name it in a way that seems right for you.
Okay.
And if it's inefficient means that it leads to greater and greater painful feeling, discomfort, disquiet,
right.
all the disses. If it's efficient, that simply means it leads to greater and greater peace, happiness, and well-being, and the sense of benevolence. So over time, there's this organic shuffling and sorting that takes place because we've generated clear comprehension to go with our mindfulness. Our wisdom faculty just starts going, I think maybe this isn't in my best interest. And so over time, we just naturally start to let stuff go that isn't helpful.
Okay.
It might have appeared helpful to us in the past. And so that's how we form the habit and why the habit is strong. But if we relax and just allow for the fact that we have mental habits like planning, worry, whatever it might be, or noodling, and we just are interested to acknowledge each time it comes up, a natural letting go occurs of the inefficient stuff. So we don't have to force it. It's just acknowledging what's there and realizing the futility of trying to change it in that moment. Does that help, Ellen?
That totally helps. Yes, makes things simpler. It's always about making things simpler for me.
Yeah, not just for you, everyone, me included. Yeah, always simplifying.
Yeah, okay, super. Thank you.
Great. Sally, hiya.
Hello. Hi
How are
there.
you?
You okay?
Very well, thank you.
So my question, I feel a bit silly really, but I've put, is there an antidote to doubt? And then felt silly for asking that question. And I put, as far as thinking about the hindrance in relation to confidence to do the practice. So wanting to do it, but when it came down to it, feeling like you're having a bit of a crisis. And once you've started again, you think, what was the big deal? Lucy suggested in the group that being mindful in other practices and routines might be helpful to get back into the swing of things again. Do you have any suggestions for that?
Okay, so doubt, we're in a forest, following a path in the forest, and we come to a bifurcation of the path and it goes off in two different directions. And we're not sure which direction to go in. And so we vacillate. Should I, shouldn't I? Which way should I go? And with doubt, there's a tendency to say, well, I'll defer from making a decision until I have more information. Now, in terms of walking along a forest path, you could be there quite a while, but eventually you have to take a decision, don't you? And so it might very well be, all right, well, I'll go left. That seems right. Seems like quite a pleasant way. I'll take the left. If that's wrong, at some point I'll realize it's wrong and I'll retrace my steps and I'll go right. And so with doubt is always trying to prevent you from further practice, but it is further practice that will tell you finally whether you're on the right track or the wrong track. So in Buddhism, we talk about sustained application of mind. So it's sustaining your application, or put it another way, jumping back on the horse, mixing my metaphors like crazy this evening, jumping back on the horse and going, all right, well, let's give it another go then.
Yeah.
And so it's just the willingness to sustain the application in order to not to get past the doubt, but to render the doubt harmless, because your experience has shown you that this is indeed the right way.
Yeah.
For you, not you conforming to a pattern, but you, and by you I mean anyone, discovering, that exploring one's experience, deepening one's awareness of how stuff works is actually enjoyable and does lead to greater levels of peace and happiness and so forth. So in order to help with that, sustaining the application, it's really helpful to talk to a teacher. It's really helpful to read the books. It's really helpful to, talk to fellow meditators. But most importantly, keep on practicing.
Yeah.
But I also point out that walking away, coming back is an essential part of the whole process. And again, I go back to something I was saying earlier, that, with enough times you work out that walking away, walking back is not the answer.
Yeah.
And so you just mature through it.
Yeah.
So I think it's having faith in yourself, obviously, that, we are all perfectly capable of practicing the way the Buddha taught for everyone. Not that everyone takes it up, but it is there for everyone, and that others have accomplished great things through following this simple process of mindful noting. They have seen deeply into the true nature of reality. And it's just reflecting on that, reflecting on what you love about the Buddha's teaching, reflecting on reasons to be happy and grateful, just reinforcing one's faith in life, in the benevolence of the world. All these things can help with bringing about this sort of like refreshing quality of faith.
Yeah. It's quite a frustrating hindrance, isn't it, doubt?
Most people, so many people can't even see it.
Yeah.
It just sounds like, oh, that's just me thinking about stuff. It's not. Yeah. And then finally you recognize it's the hindrance of doubt, and it is the destroyer. The other four hindrances can put you off a little bit, can make things awkward, but doubt is the killer. It's the destroyer. But the more you see it, and the more there's a willingness to note doubt as doubt, the less you take the content of the doubt seriously.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks, Zoe. Lucy, did you have something to add to that?
Well, I've got a question now about doubt. I was just thinking, this is only an intellectual understanding. When you complete the first path, you overcome doubt, if I understand it to be. Does that mean that doubt in anything to do with the teaching, because I guess doubt can arise in other parts of life, but doubt in the teaching can never arise again, or is it that it can pop up but you just don't attack, it just is another object that comes and goes and you see through it, you see it for what it is after you've done the first path?
Yes. It does need qualifying somewhat. For me, the fetter that we call skeptical doubt is an existential doubt. It's doubt as to the nature of reality. it's a fundamental quality of mind that causes people to do all kinds of strange things in order to assert their sense that they belong in the world. It's a very fundamental thing. Like, even now, if I'm in a forest and I reach a bifurcation in the path and I don't have a map, I will experience doubt. Or should I go this way or should I go that way? So it's not the eradication of all, of all sort of uncertainty. Far from it, actually. It is the ability to embrace the uncertainty. So yes, but it is a deeper sort of layer of a deep layer of human angst that is removed with the first fruition, supramundane path and fruition, because that is the first glimpse of Nibbana, the realization that truly there is a transcendental beyond of the conditioned and conditioning universe. And as a consequence, there is what's left is this natural deep well of faith that cannot be overcome by any further thoughts or confusion about the nature of reality, because each time those thoughts come up, you well, okay. But, there's the total knowing that there is something beyond. So faith becomes a power that cannot be overcome by its opposite, beyond stream winning. You look perplexed.
Just so you said something at the very end. The thoughts still arise, and you can't be overcome by them. Is that so? Is that could be a doubtful thought that would have been taken seriously previously, but now it just comes up, and is that what you were saying? It just comes up, and you don't, it's not interesting to you anymore. It's just you don't believe it anymore.
Yeah, it's like trying to balance a grain of rice on a tip of a needle. It just won't stick. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you, Paul.
No, not at all. It's a great question. Yeah, I mean, like, I think we have to establish the difference between like a mundane doubt. Like, if I start a new skill, I will have doubts and uncertainties about how to perform this skill, and I have to go through the process of learning, just like everyone else. But what we're talking about really, especially for meditators, is the doubt as to the instruction, the doubt as to the guidance, the doubt as to the effectiveness of the guidance, the doubt as to whether or not there is such a thing as Nibbana, as enlightenment, as a beyond, doubt as to the authenticity of the Buddha's teaching, doubt as to doubt. It's all those are completely gone because somebody has had this finger snap moment of recognition that there is indeed a beyond. They experience it. And that is why, from that point on, somebody is called a stream winner. They become a noble one. They're no longer a patugina, average uninstructed worldling. They have gone beyond in terms of their understanding of things, even if it's just for a finger snap. They've won to the stream that leads eventually to full enlightenment. And yeah, to people before that, it appears fantastical, like, whoa, what's all this woo-woo? But somebody who's actually been through the process, they're going, yeah, it's all real. It is so. And so you can see how the doubt gnaws away at somebody. Are you being taken for a ride? Quite possibly. How are you going to find out for sure? You're never going to find out if you allow the doubt to say, well, I'll stop now until I've got more information, until I've got more life experience. That's doubt's one. You stop, and most often people just don't come back to it. But that's why you have to sustain. That's why you develop a faith and you sustain the practice, because that's the only way you're going to find out, isn't it? You're not going to find out whether the practice is effective by not practicing. So, is anybody any other questions? Any other thoughts? Mandy.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit too much intellectual thinking. But anyway, I'm going to ask you that question. I'm wondering if there's a difference between doubting or the stage of ignorance. So if one's not doubting, but ignorance of the fact there's of anything, of the teaching or the whatever, it doesn't mean one has to doubt things. That's maybe my experience, that I think, okay, I don't doubt it because I don't know it, but I am ignorant because I don't know it. So I'm wondering if you see there's a difference in that, or
But
is it then doubt?
what happens if somebody who is ignorant of the Buddha's teaching and ignorant of even the idea of there being a transcendent aspect to reality, what happens when they come across it? What then? The doubt would come up, wouldn't it? Or maybe it wouldn't.
Maybe it wouldn't.
I mean, what would prompt somebody to inquire? What quality is it that's required for somebody to inquire of the Buddha's teaching? What's required is it for somebody to come on a Zoom meeting or ring up the meditation center for an interview or just enter into the process of learning how to meditate? What would prompt such behavior?
Curiosity, openness.
Just that?
I think so.
What about suffering? The Buddha said that suffering conditions the arising of faith. How so?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so.
Perhaps the thought arises for somebody, oh, I'm fed up with this. I never seem to get to that place of fulfillment. I never seem to be at peace. I never seem to, all the things I've tried in order to bring happiness to me, even when they're successful, they seem to be not quite enough. And I'm frustrated and annoyed, and I want to find an answer to this. So what arises is faith, the faith that there has to be an answer, surely. What is the point of going around all of this, feeding ourselves every day to go off to work in order to make enough money to feed ourselves? The whole samsaric thing, the whole unsatisfying nature of human existence. And somebody reaches the end of the tether and goes, well, come on, there has to be. What arises then is openness, and curiosity, because suddenly all these possibilities open up. It's something that I haven't looked at yet. And perhaps they start investigating and come across, say, a teaching like Buddhism that just doesn't hide it. It says, first noble truth, life is suffering. And the cause of suffering is ignorance that causes us to see things wrongly and, try to find fulfillment in all the wrong places. And there is the third noble truth, there is freedom from it, and there's a path that you can take. And they go, oh, yeah, this is what I've been looking for. Arises faith in the teaching. So yeah. So does that mean they won't have doubts on the path? No, of course they will. But, it's, to my mind, the openness and curiosity that you speak of come from not just suffering, but the lack of a viable alternative that people have exhausted as many ways as they care to try. They will do that before they approach it in a genuine way, in a genuine, heartfelt, ingenuous way. They approach a teaching like Buddha Dhamma. Yeah.
And you said,
Karen.
So there's always either doubt or faith. There's nothing in between. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they are.
There's no
we employ faith in so many aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
And when we treat it, we don't even notice because we treat it so routinely. But every time you get in your car, you have the faith that you'll reach your destination. All right, it might not be sort of explicitly stated as such, but it's there implicitly that I will reach my. Otherwise, you'd be consumed with doubt. You wouldn't get in your car.
No, because you make
faith is our natural. Faith is our natural state. Doubt is the imposter.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
It's helpful.
Thanks for your questions, Mandy, and you're very brave. Emma is also brave. Hello, Emma. Oh, I can't hear you. I can't. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yeah. I just wondered if Nibbana is reachable for somebody who is not living a monastic life, but just practicing every day, but living a relatively ordinary life. I mean, someone like me who
someone like you, Emma.
Yeah.
You're a normal person living a normal life.
Yeah, you don't have to enter into some monastic life.
No.
It
just has to be wholehearted, genuine. Yes, there are times where you have to persist and endure. There has to be the willingness to prioritize it, but you prioritize it within the parameters of your life as you live it. And it is the willingness to practice mindful noting when you're having a bath, when you're doing the washing up, when you're taking the dog for a walk, when you're driving your car. It's just turning the attention to it. So it's developing the sense of purpose. And the things of your life can be part of your path. And yes, it requires the willingness to come on a retreat every year and to meditate every day and to talk regularly to the teacher. But we have had people who have finished the training at the House of Inner Tranquility entirely as lay people. They've not been ordained in this lifetime whatsoever. And so it's just a question of whether you want to. It's not a question whether you can, because you can. It's a question of whether you want to, and you're willing to make them, you're willing to surrender. And in my experience, it's not a case of whether somebody can, it's whether or not they refuse. It's a refusal. People refuse it, and they're perfectly entitled to refuse it. Nobody's telling them what they should or shouldn't do. But I never knock on other people's doors asking them to practice the way. People knock on mine asking to practice the way. And I explain what needs to be done. And people are perfectly entitled to refuse. It's their freedom, absolute freedom. But if somebody decides, no, I really want to find out, not even I want to find out. It's not even I want to realize Nibbana. It's like I really want to explore my conscious experience. I get that through doing that, all this incredible wisdom will arise, and I'll see life in ways I'd never knew I'd be able to see before. It's whether somebody finds that idea enticing. It's whether it resonates with you. Whether we, ooh, like it did with me. It's like, yeah, that's what I want to do with my life. It's a personal thing. But the idea that there are people who can't, owing to them just being normal, that's just not true. That's not even a thing. Because there are no special people. There are just normal people. And it's just, some people, it's just like, for me, it made sense to enter into full-time monastic training because of my situation. It just made sense. And it was what I wanted to do. I wasn't being ordered to do it. It was just what I really wanted to do. Don't do what you don't want to do. Do what you do want to do. But it absolutely, it's there for everyone. So it's just simply that people just refuse. And some people, like myself, decided they weren't going to refuse. They just really wanted to do it. You're under no compunction to do it. Is that a word even? Compulsion. You're under no compulsion to do it. You do it freely if it's what you want.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Emma. Again, it's doubt, isn't it?
Yeah, very
Hilda.
subtle though. Got
Yeah,
me
sorry,
thinking.
Emma. Yeah, Karen.
No,
Say again,
sorry,
Emma.
very subtle, so it's got me thinking. Because I
Yes.
don't see doubt in myself, but maybe I'm not seeing it clearly.
It is a way of deferring or misdirecting oneself away from, because the issue with saying, yes, I do want to follow the way, I do want to explore conscious experiences, that we do have to take responsibility for what we find. And there are an awful lot of people who begin, they discover stuff that they don't like, and they go, oh, it's not for people like me. Because it's their way of deflecting, misdirecting internally, so that they don't actually have to do and they can justify not doing the work to themselves, because they're only fooling themselves. Do you see? Yeah. So there is a price to pay for walking a path, which is facing the things you don't like and surrendering to them. And it seems like the reason it's a very narrow gateway to enlightenment is that there's a price that people aren't willing to pay somewhere along the line. And so there's this process of deflection and misdirection, creating this rule out of nowhere, which says, oh, it's only for certain people in certain situations are able to realize enlightenment. it's not for people like me. And so they don't try. They've let themselves off the hook, as it were. But if it is the case that somebody genuinely doesn't want to confront some aspect of themselves just yet, fair enough. Fair enough. Because it's got to come from within. It's not, this isn't like a, this isn't like a guilt situation. You do it because you really genuinely want to do it, and you're ready to face yourself, essentially. And and I'm not just saying that to you, Emma, I'm just saying it as a general rule for everyone. So I guess you'll do it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hilda came and then left again. Hilda, did you want to say hi?
I think you just answered my question there, because it was going to be like why it's so hard to surrender, and then you pretty much answer that. I guess we just don't like what we find. We get scared, or we don't want to accept it, perhaps. But like that was going to be the question: why is it so difficult? But you sort of answered that. So.
And and I don't want to make it sound like I'm being hard. I appreciate that people that it is difficult for people, and I guess what happens is a little bit what Sally was talking about, that you walk away, you come back, you walk away, you come back, and I think that's the part of the process of gaining life experience, to reach the point. Well, on the one hand, you reach the point where you realize actually there is no alternative other than looking at the stuff I don't like and I don't want to look at. But there's this other quality as well, which is like it can flip, where it becomes a source of fascination. And there's this recognition that the more I look at the unwanted stuff, the more I shine a light on it, the more I transcend that problem, the smaller that problem gets. Until I've reached a point of just such perfect equanimity and acceptance of this unwanted thing that it's no longer an unwanted thing. That's the payback. So you have to pay the price first. He said, grinning. You have to pay the price first, which is the willingness to look at the unwanted. But the payback is, in the end, it's no longer the unwanted. And you're the master of it, rather than, because when we resist, when we ignore, when we I don't want to, you are the slave to that quality, whatever that quality is. When you finally allow that quality in and look at it and see it for what it is, you become the master of it. So how can anyone insist that someone follow a spiritual way? It's got to come from within. It's got to be, oh yeah, I'm ready for this. I want this. I want to do this. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hilda. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for everyone who was brave and asked a question and entered into the conversation. Great. I think it's part of being of service to others, because whatever comes out, it's coming out for the benefit of everyone. So yeah, so I think we'll leave it there for this evening. Lovely to see you.
Thanks, Paul. Brilliant evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Right,
Paul.
thanks, Roland.
so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank
See
you,
you
Paul.
in a couple of weeks,
Bye.
hopefully.
See you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Paul.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Mm.